Hi, I'm Quinn Tivey.
Hi, I'm Ryhs Tivey.
Hi, I'm Naomi Wilding.
Elizabeth Taylor was our grandmother, and we're proud of the way the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation carries on her legacy and her work. As we gather at this virtual conference to discuss the challenges facing all of us right now and in the future, it's important to take a look at the past.
Our grandmother began her activism work in the mid-'80s, using her celebrity power and her voice to help amplify the voices of those that governments across the world did not want to hear.
As part of her work, she spoke at several gatherings of the International AIDS Conference, including the historic San Francisco meeting in 1990. 30 years ago, protests dominated that conference as activists expressed anger at the mounting death toll, the lack of action from government, and the lack of progress in the search for effective treatments.
While much has changed since then, we all still have much to do. As we use the conference to educate, organize, and move forward towards a more just and AIDS-free world, we're pleased to introduce a short video highlighting some of the progress that has been made and some of the challenges that remain.
We hope you enjoy this brief reflection as we look towards the future, knowing that if our grandmother were still alive today, she would be standing with everyone, whether in San Francisco, Oakland, or virtually, doing all that she can with all of her heart, just as you're doing all that you can with all of your heart.
After decades of immense loss and hard-fought gains, the end of the AIDS epidemic as a public health threat is now in sight. What once seemed unimaginable has become achievable.
I'm fighting. I'm fighting for those that never find their voice, and I'm fighting for me.
Activists led the response to this epidemic in the past and remain in the forefront today.
We couldn't wait for the government or anyone else to take care of us. We dove into the trenches. We did the dirty work.
For decades, high-profile allies have stood alongside activists to focus public attention on HIV and AIDS, pressure governments, and demand action.
You do your bit with all of your heart, and I do my bit with all of my heart, and everybody out there does the same thing. We will make a goddamn difference.
For the first time in a very long time, we are beginning to see glimmers of hope.
Now that I'm on HIV treatment, I'm no more afraid of dying just because of HIV and AIDS.
The drug cocktail saved lives, but only for those with access to treatment.
We want more treatment for Latin America. We don't have access to the medical treatment for people living with HIV/AIDS.
Pressure from activists eventually paid off. High-income countries pitched in, producing astonishing results. More people in treatment, fewer people getting infected, and fewer people dying. Also progress in lowering mother-to-child transmission rates. Activists kept fighting throughout the world, demanding easier access to medication, dignity and protection for sex workers, outreach to people who inject drugs, and equal treatment for LGBTQ people.
All of the media messaging about HIV is that it's a manageable illness. I think trans folks living with HIV are still living a completely different reality.
We're seeing that with Black trans women, we still are dying at earlier rates.
As efforts to end the epidemic persist, it's critical to remember the people lost to AIDS and those still at risk today. Prevention efforts remain crucial to stopping HIV. Across the globe, different strategies depending on the country or community. Everywhere, though, access to medication is essential because treatment equals prevention.
The key message in prevention is that we can do it. What we need is the political will.
I think this is a huge milestone. We are in an era now when we can foresee the end of the AIDS epidemic.
UNAIDS has laid out an ambitious goal to eventually end the epidemic. To get to zero, the required steps are clear. closing health disparities, improving treatment access, reaching communities that have been left behind, and overcoming stigma.
Now, we've made incredible advances, but we have to work together, all of us, if we're going to really get to zero.
I actually believe I will see the end of the epidemic. AIDS has taught me to never take no for an answer, never stop fighting, and never give up.